Hi, welcome back to Fast Recap, and today I'm going to tell you about a 2008 movie called Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's incredibly important to us and motivates us to create more quality content. 1957, the height of the Cold War. A group of Soviet military, led by science fiction writer Irina Spalko, under the guise of soldiers of the American Army, are sent to a secret storage base. It is located in the Nevada desert in Area 51. Indiana Jones and his friend must conduct an archaeological study near the place of action. Breaking into the base, Irina forces Jones to find mummified remains because he was once part of a group of scientists studying the crash of an unusual flying machine. Jones himself does not quite understand the nature of the artifact he once saw and its significance. However, at the muzzle of a dozen machine guns, he finds the desired box. He uses gunpowder to do so, scattering it into the air. The artifact has the strongest magnetism, so the metal particles in the gunpowder lead the scientist to the object he seeks. While Spalko and her people passionately examine the sarcophagus they found with a body emitting a startling magnetic pulse, Jones takes a machine gun from one of the military officers and points it at Irina. Indiana hears the click of the fuse and realizes Mac has betrayed him. A former friend and colleague confesses that he works for Irina because she pays good money. During the ensuing Indiana, Jones tries to escape from the secret base in various ways. However, by random chance, Indiana manages to find and start a rocket car. He regains consciousness just a few miles away near an unknown town. In an attempt to find help, Indiana knocks on a random house. But upon entering, he discovers that there are no living people in the town, only mannequins. Jones hears the sound of a siren and realizes that an explosion is about to go off, and this town will be wiped off the face of the earth. Realizing that the wave is coming at him, he hides in a lead-lined refrigerator. Although the blast throws Indiana quite far away, he remains unharmed. Colonel Jones finds himself under the hard press of the FBI. They suspect the archaeology professor, who is also a hero of several wars and a former intelligence agent, of spying for the Soviet Union. These suspicions are so serious that Jones, who has returned to teaching, has to voluntarily leave Marshall College, where he has worked for more than 25 years. He took this step to avoid a dishonorable discharge. Indiana intends to travel and start looking for a new place to live, somewhere where everything is calm. At the last moment, he is literally taken off the train by a guy who calls himself Matt William. He asks the professor for help and tells him that his mother's friend, an old colleague and once a close friend of Jones himself, Harold Oxley, has disappeared somewhere in Peru. The man managed to forward Matt a letter containing rebuses in the form of some unknown hieroglyphics. Indiana knows that all his life Oxley has been searching for the mysterious Golden City, which is better known as El Dorado, supposedly located on the territory of Peru. When the heroes left the cafe, they were immediately chased by the Secret Service, which they easily escaped. Indiana and Matt travel to Peru, where they find traces of Oxley in one of the towns located on the famous Nazca hieroglyphs. As they learn, he was picked up in a half-crazed state by the nuns running the local orphanage for the mentally ill. However, after a while, some people came and took the man away. Inspecting Oxley's room, Jones and Matt find many inscriptions returned and several drawings of a skull with huge eye sockets, a bizarre elongated shape. This is the shape that the ancient Nazca people artificially gave their heads from childhood, compressing the skull box with ropes. Thus, people of the ancient civilization wanted to become similar to the gods. Under a layer of dust and sand on the floor, Professor Jones discovers a map. She leads them to the tomb of a man who once went in search of El Dorado, and, as it was believed until now, disappeared without a trace with his companions in the Amazon jungle. Stunned by the discovery, Indiana is forced to admit that it was Oxley who first discovered the tomb, and what's more, he managed to visit it twice, but it's not clear for what reason. The answer team finds next to the mummy seeker El Dorado. Professor Jones discovers the crystal skull elongated shape is a unique find, clearly not man-made. In addition, it has strange properties, for example, quite strong magnetic radiation. Remembering the inscription returned in Oxley's camera, Indiana comes to the conclusion that he took the skull, but after some time returned it to its place. Jones takes the mysterious find with him. On the way out of the tomb, he and Matt are waited for by the traitor Mac and the Soviet military. The captives are brought to a Russian camp set up in the jungle, where they are met by Irina. She shows Jones the body of a creature she believes to be of extraterrestrial origin, The same remains he recently helped her find in a secret warehouse. A skeleton is extracted from the body, and Spalko believes that this skeleton was a crystal skeleton. The woman is obsessed with all things paranormal and is convinced that the beings who built the mysterious city 7,000 years ago using technology that came much later are of extraterrestrial origin. Irina seeks El Dorado not for gold, but for the secret knowledge of these beings, which is hidden in the main temple. Legend has it that whoever returns the crystal skull of the shrine will gain immense power. Not only does Spalko have not only Jones and Matt in his hands, but also the missing Oxley. He has indeed become insane after interacting with the crystal skull for a long time. The woman intends to use Jones to pry from Oxley and the skull, who only speaks to a select few, how to find the way to El Dorado. Just in case Indiana is stubborn, Agent Spalko has another argument. It's Marion Ravenwood. This woman, whom Indiana once loved very much, accompanied him in the search for the Ark more than 20 years ago, who also happens to be Matt's mother. The escape is spontaneously organized by young Matt. But Indiana and Marion get caught in a quicksand trap. While Matt and Crazy Oxley search for ways to rescue them, Marion confesses to Jones that her son's name is actually Henry. She named him after his father, Henry Jones Jr. Indiana is perplexed, only to be brought out of his stupor by the appearance of Irina and her men, who were brought by the Oxley. After rescuing the couple, they're taken along with Matt and Oxley into the jungle on a road in the direction where El Dorado is supposed to be. Barely recovering from the news of his paternity, Jones gets into a fierce altercation with Marion. She cannot forgive the man for the fact that, after the story with the Ark, he ran away from her just a few days before the scheduled wedding. Parental lectures and almost conjugal scenes are interrupted by another elopement, this time more successful. A crazy race for the price of a life takes place in the middle of the jungle between the team of Indiana Jones and Irina Spalko. They each take turns trying to take the crystal skull for themselves. There is even a sword fight during the race between the two cars, but eventually Jones manages to steal the skull from Spalko's team and also evade the chase. Irina loses a big part of her people in this race, including her loyal friend Colonel Dovchenko, who is eaten alive by ants. The heroes manage to survive after falling through several waterfalls in a boat. Old Oxley begins to partially come to his senses. He leads Indiana and the others to El Dorado. In fact, there's no precious metal in the Golden City. There, the company is met only by half-destroyed pyramids and other buildings. Indiana still manages to find the very temple where the skull should be kept. The room, to the surprise of the whole company, turns out to be filled with treasures and monuments of ancient civilizations which were located in different parts of the world. Ancient Greece, China, India, Egypt. It is a mystery to all present how the objects created by such different and distant cultures could be in one place. However, the most important treasure is still the crystal skull. Indiana Jones and his team enter a golden hall where 13 crystal creatures sit on thrones. Only one of them is missing his head. The honor of returning the crystal skull to the creature is taken from Indiana by Irina Spalko. She relentlessly followed his trail and finally catches up with the group. As soon as the girl puts the skull back in place, Oxley begins to speak in an ancient Mayan dialect. Irina asks the creatures for the secret knowledge for the sake of which she has traveled a hard way. At that moment, the crystal creatures seem to come to life, and the golden hall begins to spin, opening a portal to the space between the worlds. Indiana Jones and his team leave, but Mac, due to his greed, fails to leave in time and dies. As a result of the spinning of 13 crystal skeletons, one extraterrestrial being is formed. The knowledge that Irina so ardently desired turns out to be beyond the power of the human mind, and Spalko is burned alive. Having escaped from the temple, the heroes see a giant flying saucer rising from the bowels of the destroyed structure. Its rotation completely destroys the ancient city and drags stone blocks behind it, creating a tornado. Suddenly, the saucer disappears, and all the objects that were lifted into the air fall to the ground again. Water from the Amazon flows into the funnel formed on the spot, destroying all traces of what happened. When everything subsides, Oxley finally regains her mind. Marion and Indiana embrace each other, and Matt begins to get used to being called Junior. After returning home, the legendary Indiana Jones does walk Marion down the aisle. He asks if she will be his wife, and Marion, of course, agrees. And that's the end of the movie. That's all for today. What do you think of this movie? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more such videos.